When I set up this channel, the original plan was to do one of each kind of set for the UK, especially the CB2781 sets, and that would be it. But in actual fact, people want to see repairs. So although we've done one of these very recently, we've got I nearly said it again, a Kernow Beta 1100. And this is a repair. It's come out of a lorry, it wants sorting out, and it's got the original mic, an interesting glued on something or other, and it has no fuse in the lead. We're required to put a fuse in that, so I don't know what we're going to do with that. I've got nothing to interface, so we'll see if our crocodile clip will find its way up there. So we will have to sort a fuse holder out, but we'll start by looking at the radio itself. So I'm 13.8 volt, and it powers up, and these sets start off on channel 9. I can hear our signal generator coming through. You can hear the controls are scratchy there, so that needs addressing with cleaning. And I'll put picture in picture on. Yeah, picture in picture is now on, so if it isn't, I did press the button. Whoa! I didn't expect it to do that power. Oh dear, it's doing 4.8 watts, so that's going to have to come down. What about deviation? Wallow, it's 3.5, that's going to have to come down as well. What about frequency? That's virtually spot on. That's one good thing. And let's see where the receive actually is. So I'll put the SINAD meter on, and we'll see what we can read. Get the volume control to a non-dodgy bit. Well, it helps if I plug the instruments into the speaker socket. And the squelch down. And a bit more. So the radio is doing 0.3 microvolts for 3 decibel, 0.3 microvolts for 12 decibel SINAD. So, what have we got? A bit of paper here. Oh, leftover Bible reading from the last week's church service. So, let's have a look. So it's doing, RX is doing 0.3 microvolts for 12 dB SINAD, which is excellent. The radio is doing 27,79123, which is correct. I will just pop it up, but it is correct. TX is doing, unplug the extension speaker. TX is doing 4.8 watts, which can't happen. I'm allowed a 10% instrumentation error, so we could let go something under like 4.3, but I can't let that go. And then deviation, wallow, is 2.8 kilohertz, which is no good. It's got to be less than 2.5. So, yeah, that's where we're standing at the moment. These are excellent radios, and you know, every time I buy a box of broken radios, whether it's eBay or from a radio rally, hopefully they'll be back after this COVID's controlled, or somebody privately says to me, do you want to buy a box of radios? There's always a Kernow Beta 1100 in the box, and it's something which is quite pleasing because they're really good sets. Underappreciated. There's also always some type of great 848, 858, 868 like the Fidelity 1000, and there's always a Macon EM27 which when you connect it to power goes whee, and when you open it up it has battery juice all over the board. Probably a screwdriver expert has been in it as well and done silly things, and it joins the other 7 that we have in a box of junk. So I'll wait for the soldering iron. I tell you what, no, I think we can do this. I think we can do this in such a way that we don't need to do that. We don't need to desolder that today. Yes, we do, because I need to do the volume controls. Oh my goodness, how do we get to those? I hope they're not those sealed type that we can't do anything with. This is in lovely condition, and yet it's had such a lot of wear on volume controls. Or has it been smoked in? No, it doesn't smell like it's been smoked in, because that's a killer of relay contacts and volume controls is fag smoke. You can't get to it from that side. I'll get an applicator spout and we'll see how we can deal with that. Whatever that is at full. Is that deviation? I ought to get my notes out. No, no idea. It doesn't matter what I upset because we've got the instruments to put it back right. So where's deviation? There. So that was set to full, which is ridiculous. It's not like AM where higher percentage of modulation gets better range. On FM, if you've got too high a deviation, it just doesn't fit through the filters unless the receiving station's listening on something as wide as a barn door, like that ubiquitous Fidelity 1000. Wow, that's still a little bit high. Let's just go for a little drop further. One to wallow. That's about as high as we dare have it for them. So we're doing 2.2 to an absolute maximum of 2.5, so that should be now fine. We don't have meters on these sets, so that's so we've got squelch and we've got something else. I might have to get the service notes out. It's not 2781, so it doesn't have to have a low power switch. Yeah, it is power. So what we need to just do is to make sure that we are on absolute peak. So I'll just go through these. And then we'll drop that to 4. Right, we'll just check where we are at the different ends of the band. Channel 1 it's 4 watts. Channel 40 it's 4.05 watts. I think the switch is a bit dirty in this, and so I will deal with that immediately. We don't mend mics, but these sets are coming in from end users at the moment, and so whereas the shops or the supplying dealer will deal with things like microphones and no fuse holder in a power lead, I'm having to deal with all that, but we haven't got a charging structure, so they're getting all this for free. What we used to do is charge £3 for these type of little jobs like this, but I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to make a decision as to whether we're going to allow end users in the future, or whether we're just letting it happen over this period. What we don't want to do is tread on the toes of our supplying dealers and shops. I'll just turn the radio off. I think that mic hook is a really clever little replacement somebody's done. I'm putting that back together and I forgot to put the PTT bar back in. That would be funny, wouldn't it? Of course, the radio is now reset to channel 9 because these do that. 1 2 1 2 Wally. Let's just listen on our monitor receiver. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. That's fine. So I'm satisfied the transmit's done. That was quick, wasn't it? And now we'll just go through receiver. So the main thing, of course, is to do that. In fact, that's what I'm going to have to do next, because I can't reliably do the receive when the volume control is in that kind of state. And I'm hoping we don't have to take this subboard out, but it could happen, so we can actually get to the controls better. Depends if there's anything else on that board. Do you know what? I think we will. So we can get to it better, we'll just take this board out. So unsolder these 8 terminals. Make sure absolutely clear. Hopefully we can pop that board off now. What's holding it in the middle? It was kind of glue gun to protect the ribbon cable. So now we can actually see the innards. So I'll be able to just, I don't even need to bother getting the applicator now. We can just get that in really easily. It's just so bad. And the trouble is, you know, where do we get replacement parts? I've been in electronics since 1978, and we've been doing this since November '81. You know, when they came out in the UK CBs, and in other, of course, in business radio. And you know, parts like this are not normal. They're not standard components. so that if you replace them, you wouldn't get the right pin spacing and things like that. So it is a difficulty. So we'll pop that back. There we go. That's gone back in. So in actual fact, it only took, I would say, a minute and a half to unsolder that board and apply the service cell switch cleaner really well. It would have taken me longer than that to go to the next workshop and pick up the applicator. So let's see what that sounds like now. Put that back on. Select channel 20 again. Well, we're not going to do better than that. So we're back to we'll start with the oscilloscope, and we'll look at an S9 signal, which is 100 microvolts in the UK on a CB, and we will just make sure we've got maximum recovered audio. So once again, the oscilloscope and the SINAD meter and an extension speaker on the bench are simply across the external speaker terminals. There's no instrumentation other than that which the audio is going through. It's really straightforward. That's posh, isn't it? A JRC chip. I think it's that one, isn't it? And if it isn't, well, it is. Yeah, that was a bit out. So that sorted that out. I bet there's not much wrong with the front end because it's receiving brilliantly. So we'll now go over to the SINAD meter. Let's look at the front end. And now we'll go back to 12. Just make sure we've got the IF ones spot on. So we've got no change. It's still 12 for 12 decibels. It's still 0.3 of a microvolt, which is yeah, exactly where we started off. But the detector's better, so it's going to be louder and clearer and less garbled, which is something in the positive direction. Because the main thing is that volume control, which is now working. So I'll just we'll just finish off with making sure it is spot on frequency. I like these to be a little bit high. It's a little bit low at the moment. Whoops! I've got to unplug that extension speaker because it doesn't like. So we'll just pop that on to 2779125 with the trimmer capacitor by the synthesizer chip. So that's where I want it to be. So it's just high of 2779125. Then it's got, because of the crystals were dropping with age, then it's going to drop onto frequency. Where it was more or less spot on, and I could put it on another test set. I could have put it on a test set which had been calibrated yesterday, and it would still read slightly different on different machines. So there we go. So that was very straightforward. So it had a genuine problem with the volume control, and it just needed to come down on the transmit power, and it needs to come down on the deviation. That's going to help clarity and actually improve the range. There's nothing worse than having a lorry and getting stopped at a checkpoint and the DTI or whatever they're called this week do a test and go, I'm sorry, that's slightly over power, your CB radio is confiscated. So we're now spot on. It's nice to see a radio that actually does 4 watts, because we see so many of these new sets and doesn't matter what we do, there's still 3.6 watts. And that test, the one in our test car is just the same, that Midland 78. It doesn't do a full 4 watts. Disappointing. So we'll assume brown is positive. And I'll get the test. This doesn't matter, but just for my own kind of thing, to see whether the black is negative. It is. Oh, good. So that's a lovely looking set, and it's now working even better. So pop the screws in, shove it on the aerial, and we're doing on the air test. Now Mr. Chippy's back. Now this customer has also sent in a Midland 48, so we'll try and look at that tomorrow. Thought I'd lost one of the screws then. Right, so we'll take the test instrument connector off and plug in the roof aerial. People keep asking me what's the base aerial here. It is one of those generic fiberglass 18-foot end feds, such as the something 99. It's a single-story building. It's mounted just above gutter level of the building, and it's fed with thin mobile type feeder, but this is industrial grade, so it's much less lossy than CB grade because it's good for 2 gigs. This is aimed at the mobile phone industry. Well, you know what's not going to happen? One Anna, Roger. Yeah. Check the squelch works. It does. Good. So I'll look forward to doing an on-the-air test with Mr. Chippy on that later on. Thanks for watching.